Welcome back to the best division in football with the worst team in the NFL, the New York Giants, and your boys Awthentik and the Beard. We got a couple of games this week, kind of a slight Thursday night schedule. I'm definitely excited to get some games, though, man. The Giants are headed to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. The Philadelphia Eagles are on a bye this week. The Commanders are headed to the West Coast to take on the Seattle Seahawks. They kind of been in a little bit of a funk here. We're going to get into that. And tonight on Amazon Prime, make sure y'all turn on that Prime Vision. I'm telling you, the Panthers are taking on the Bears in kind of like the Tank Bowl. Bears own the Panthers pick. It's a win-win situation for them. But with the win tonight, the Bears have a 43% chance for the number one pick. And that's the highest of any team in the NFL right now. So Giants fans, I know we keeping our eye on that. That's per ESPN Analytics. With a loss tonight, that number would fall to 28%. Shouts out to everybody, man, that's been checking me out on Bleacher Report. Man, that last stream about the college quarterback prospects, that was amazing. I learned a lot from y'all in the chat. It was deep, man. A lot of people in the building, man. So big shout out to y'all for pulling up, showing some love. Shout out to Benny, who hit me up actually after the fact, man, and went to go check out that stream as well. But without further ado, man, let's get right into it. We got some Thursday night football. Let me bring in the best co-host in the country, the strong side to the left side. My brother from another mother. Shout out to Miss Kelly. Shout out to my Dukes in the building. What's going on, the Beard?
Oh, you know, I'm just here for my weekly dose of shots and flower giving for the Dallas Cowboys fans.
I thought you've been sober for 115 years now.
I'm not talking about those shots. I'm talking about Awthentiks. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, hey, you know it. You know I'm ready. You know I got to.
Locked and loaded, huh? But yeah,
yes,
no,
sir.
it's gonna be an interesting week. It's always fun diving into the numbers before we dive into the games. Because sometimes it's so weird. Like, you look at a team like, for example, like the Seahawks, right? They have a winning record. And you look at their numbers and the games that they lost, and you're just kind of like, they're not that different than the Washington Commanders to a certain extent. You know, and
offenses are built very similar. Yeah.
And then you look at like a game like, you know, the Dallas and the Giants game, and I'm sitting here swimming deep, trying to find a way, you know, trying to find what makes the Dallas Cowboys lose games. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So it's interesting because
I know what makes the Dallas Cowboys lose games, but according to last show, you definitely have a problem with trying to figure out what makes the Dallas Cowboys lose games. Just when they play good teams. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, but then there's the anomaly. The Arizona Cardinals, right?
Of course. I mean, that's going to happen every now and again.
It is, but can that happen to this Sunday? That's the big question. So
I'm going to be, man, I don't go fishing to try to find something that's going to fit my narrative of trying to find a W. I just call it like I see it.
Yeah,
the Giants are completely outmatched. You saw the numbers. They're outmatched. So I'm not going to try to weasel my way into trying to find a way to make me look stupid on this channel right now.
Oh, no.
I'm not saying. Let's be realistic here.
I'm not saying I'm going to pick them. I'm just saying, you know, I feel like I owe it to, you know, the Giants fan base to provide them with a possible plan, a possible roadmap. That's all I'm here for.
So you want to sell us a little bit of blind faith. You think you owe us blind faith? Come on, man.
Maybe
just
man.
A little. We already starting off the show on the wrong foot here. You talking about I owe it to the Giants fans.
Well, before we get anything crazy, because I know you got to set this lineup ASAP. We're gonna give a big shout out to Sebastian for the $1.99 super chat. Says he needs some fantasy help. Cole Kmet, Gus Edwards, or B-Rob. I know that you need this because Cole Kmet is playing tonight. Cole Kmet looks really good with I don't know, is it Bagent or Bagent? Bagent. He looks really good with Bagent. I want to say he caught 2 touchdowns last week, I believe.
Last week, and that was the game he looked really good. He had the good 2 touchdowns. The yardage was really low. For me, I go Gus Edwards right off the bat.
He's been a machine.
Ago, 28 fantasy points. They're giving him the rock too. B-Rob, I'll get into that in the Commanders game, why you don't want to start B-Rob.
Yeah, so I think you got to go with Gus Edwards. That's 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. I think it's either 4 or 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So definitely, I think you go with Gus Edwards. They seem to have found a good formula with the Gus bust. So shout out to Sebastian. We appreciate you. Shout out to everybody in the chat across all the platforms, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and, of course, right here on YouTube. We appreciate all the love and all the support as always.
All right, man. So you ready to get right off into these games and try to, what did you say? You owe it to the Giants fans to to give them a little bit of smoke and facade today.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, it would fit my narrative of the quote unquote cowboy hater, right? I'm not a cowboy killer, I'm a cowboy hater.
That's not a narrative.
It's not a narrative.
That's not a narrative. That is the actual truth. We were talking about it on Twitter. I had some people in my mentions. They're like, yeah, the beard is just a hater. He don't want to admit it.
What? No way.
He said no way. Man, let's get off into this game.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
Not looking forward to this matchup right here, man. The 2-7 New York Giants headed to Jerry World to take on the 5-3 Dallas Cowboys. Kickoff is Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cowboys favored by 17 and a goddamn half, with the over-under being 39.5. I don't even understand it.
That
Last
means they're
week,
giving you 12 points.
kind of crazy. Last week, Giants lost to the Raiders 30-6. The Cowboys lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in a heartbreaker for them, 28-23. Last meeting, I really don't even want to talk about it. Cowboys beat the New York Giants 40-0. That was week 1 of this season. 40-0 is the largest deficit in any game played between these two teams in both franchise history. It was also the Cowboys' biggest shutout victory in any game in their franchise history as well. The Cowboys have won 5 straight and 12 out of the last 13 against my New York Giants. Dak Prescott has won 11 straight games versus the Giants. With the win on Sunday, Mike McCarthy can tie Mike Holmgren for 18th on the coaching victories list with 161. The Cowboys have won 11 straight games at home. That is the highest active streak right now in the NFL. The Cowboys are playing at home versus my Giants. Looks like that's going to be 12 straight, if you ask me. Don't know how the New York Giants will slow down the Cowboys' offense. I have no idea how that's going to happen. The Giants' offense is completely pathetic, and so is their defense. And when those, it's so crazy because when the offense plays extremely bad, the defense is extremely bad. When the offense plays mediocre, as my homie Charlie Chuck would say on Twitter, that Giants defense tends to show up a little bit now. Dak and CD Lamb, they out here playing their best football. Dak has back-to-back games with multiple passing touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in each of these 2 past weeks. 2 weeks ago versus the Rams, 25 of 31 for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles actually was 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was 29 of 44 for 374 yards. His 17th career game with at least 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. That people be sleeping on Dak Prescott. That is a great statistic right there. 17 games, not with just 300 yards, but with 3 touchdowns in those 300-yard games. He has 4 straight games right now with a passer rating of over 100. Cowboys offense is averaging 27.5 points per game. Versus Philly, the Cowboys had 27 first downs, 19 of them accounted by Dak Prescott through the air. 5 of them were by penalty and 3 of them on the ground. Prescott has thrown for at least 3 touchdowns 5 times in 13 meetings against the New York Giants. So the odds of him getting over to 300 yards and getting at least 3 touchdowns, I think, are pretty high here. Now, CD Lamb has been playing some incredible football. He is definitely on a high horse right now. 3 straight games over 100 yards receiving. Last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, CD Lamb had 11 receptions, 191 yards, 16 targets. He has 6 games with at least 10 receptions and 100 yards receiving. Since 2022, that's the second most in the NFL. I think A.J. Brown might be the one who has the #1 record for that right now. CeeDee Lamb can become the first player to do something here in this game against the New York Giants, too. He can become the first player ever with 10 or more receptions and at least 150 receiving yards in 3 straight games. That's never happened, which is kind of crazy. Everybody been talking about Tyreek Hill reaching 2K, and a lot of people are overlooking CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys already had their bye. CeeDee Lamb is sitting on 824 yards on the season right now. He's on pace for 1,751 yards. He's played 1 less game than Tyreek Hill, who has 1,076 yards on the season. CeeDee Lamb might go for 200 yards against the New York Giants. It would not surprise me. Now, let's talk a little bit about this little Giants offense before I swing this over to the beard one time. We got Junior at quarterback, Icebox at running back, Hans Hanen at wide receiver, and Zoltek at the center position.
Spike don't care.
Y'all know what it is. This is a perfect game to be throwing out that Spike don't care. Victor Cruz came out today and had a little bit of few words to say about the quarterback position. I don't know if everybody in the chat heard about this, but he said, in my opinion, I think the Giants need to go get a new quarterback. Tiki Barber doubled down on that. And to me, it's not surprising to hear Victor Cruz talking about the Giants needing a new quarterback. Victor Cruz has pretty much kept it real in the media for, the whole time he's been in front of a microphone on a podium and whatnot these days. Tiki Barber saying that surprises me because Tiki Barber's the guy that said Daniel Jones could be a top 5 quarterback this year. He's the guy that said Daniel Jones deserved the contract this year, especially for the amount of money that Daniel Jones signed that contract for after he was on a stream with New York Revival that I came up there and I asked him a lot about the quarterback position entering the 2022 season. And me and him both agreed that about 20 mil was probably correct at the time. And then that number doubled by the time we got back to the next season after the Giants had made the playoffs in 2022. Now, the Giants have the 32nd ranked offense in the NFL right now. 32nd ranked pass offense, 32nd ranked scoring offense. The only thing right now that's clicking for the New York Giants has been running the ball. They got the 13th ranked rushing offense in the league right now. Tommy DeVito is going to get his first start. He's the first rookie free agent to start a regular season game for the Giants. The New York offense has not scored a first quarter touchdown on the entire year, okay? Cowboys have the number 3 defense in the league right now. Saquon Barkley really the only thing going for the New York Giants this season outside of Andrew Thomas when he's healthy. Saquon has 3 straight games with over 110 scrimmage yards. Barkley is one of 4 running backs with at least 100 scrimmage yards per game right now. He's averaging 102 scrimmage yards per game, a minimum of 5 games played. All the other guys on this list are all hybrid running backs. Y'all have heard me talk about hybrid running backs, and the utilization of hybrid running backs is so important. I think the Saints do a really good job of how they use Alvin Kamara. He's on this list. I think that the San Francisco 49ers do a really good job of how they use CMC, and he's on this list. I think that the Jaguars do a really good job of using Travis Etienne, and he's on this list, right? It is all about balance. I even think the Commanders have a hybrid running back over there in Antonio Gibson. I'll wait till we get to that game to talk about that a little bit more. But all these guys are hybrid running backs. The only one that's not on the list for real, that's probably the last hybrid running back we haven't talked about, is Austin Eckler. He's been dealing with some injury and whatnot. The Giants are averaging just 155 passing yards per game. The Cowboys are averaging 234.9 passing yards per game. The Giants are averaging 11.2 points per game. That's the worst in a 16-game season for a long time. Now, let me tell you, the 1992 Seattle Seahawks averaged 8.8 points per game. It's the lowest I've seen since the merger. So the Giants, if they don't start scoring some points here, and right now we probably are putting out our worst offensive unit that we've put out all year long with Tommy DeVito at the quarterback position. And obviously no Darren Waller out there. Our backup quarterback and Tyrod Taylor on IR along with Darren Waller. The offensive line is healthy now. But with Tommy DeVito at quarterback, I just see these numbers getting lower and lower and lower. I don't see any shot that the New York Giants have a chance at winning this game outside of God. That's the only way that the New York Giants going to win this game. And y'all know how they did in the Little Giants. They got in the huddle. Giants, help us, God. That's the only thing that's really going to help this situation here. You need an absolute miracle for the Giants to come out here and win this game. This Cowboys defense is playing great football, even when they lost Trayvon Diggs. I always forget the homie's name that filled in for him, but he has 3 pick sixes on the year right now. Maybe somebody in the chat can help me out. It's something with a D from what I remember. I just can't remember his name. I should know this. That's my fault on that. But he's got 3 pick sixes on the year, 4 interceptions. He leads the league in pick sixes. If he could get that 4th, it'll tie an NFL record. So for me, I could give you the score of this one early for real. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to cover that 17.5. If they don't cover that 17.5, the speculation that you had last episode is warranted, I think, because you can't be a team that's going to be contending for an NFC championship and go out here against a banged-up team like the New York Giants and not put your best foot forward at home with an 11-game streak on the line. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I think they win this game. I think the Giants are going to get 1 garbage time touchdown and possibly a field goal in this game. I'm taking the Cowboys in this one 38-10.
It's reasonable. I mean, it's better than 40-0, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, at least you're not getting shut out.
Yeah, better than 40-0. I mean, listen, the Dallas Cowboys, when they're clicking, when all cylinders are firing, they can be one of the best teams, obviously, in the National Football League, offensively, especially when CeeDee Lamb is playing the way that he is, when Dak's playing the way that he is. And what's interesting is that I feel like we still haven't seen a Tony Pollard game. right? Like a game where it's just Tony Pollard takes over, right? So you still have that as a possibility, obviously. And then defensively, they can get to the quarterback and they can force turnovers, obviously, and they can score defensively. So there's a lot of things that Dallas Cowboys can do right. But, they do have 3 losses on the season, and obviously 2 of those coming to really good teams, 2 of the best teams, I'd say, in the NFC. And then the 1 loss to the Arizona Cardinals. So there are some similarities in those losses that Dallas had, that if the Giants were to, if God said, hey, guys, I got you today, this is your Sunday, this is what I'm going to do to help you guys win this game. I think also, hopefully the Giants use this opportunity to get some of these young guys some burn. I love what I've seen out of Wan'Dale Robinson so far this year. I see a lot of potential in him. And I think that, if you look at the Arizona game, you look at a guy like Rondale Moore, he did some things against the Dallas defense. I think if you can get the ball into the hands of Wan'Dale and Hyatt in some creative situations, where you can utilize that speed, that might be an opportunity for the Giants to kind of put some points on the board. I'd like to see them try to do that a lot more in this game. And then so in the 3 losses that Dallas had, they averaged 2 turnovers. They average allowing 167 yards rushing on the ground, and they are converting 45% on 3rd down. Okay, only 45%. So
allowing the other team or them converting?
They're only converting 45%. Yeah. So if the Giants can find a way, I think it's going to be hopefully a big game from Thibodeau. If you're rooting for the Giants to win this game, like myself, you hope for a big game from Thibodeau. Can get to Dak Prescott. Dallas has allowed the 11th most sacks in the National Football League this year, giving up 23 sacks, which seems like light years away from a team like the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants, who now have surpassed the Commanders for the historic run at most sacks allowed in the season. I think they're sitting at 49 sacks allowed right now, the Giants are. And I think the Commanders are at 41. So if the Giants can find a way to get to Dak, maybe hold them to not converting so much 3rd downs, force a couple turnovers, and can utilize the run game, not just with Saquon. I mean, we talked a little bit about that on Tuesday, not like, just giving Saquon 30-plus carries, but, around that 20-plus range. And then finding some creative ways to get Wan'Dale Robinson and Hyatt the ball in open space at least, which would, obviously be some quick passes so that DeVito's not under so much pressure, and then mix that in with some deep shots. They have a outside fighting chance to making it a game. Obviously, in Dallas makes things a little bit more difficult as well. I don't think that the Giants are going to win this game, obviously, but I do think that, given the Cowboys' tendency at times to play down to their opponent, I think that there's always an outside chance. It's so tough for me to pick a 17.5-point spread. You don't see it that much in the NFL. But also, the Giants lost to the Cowboys 40-0 with everybody healthy. So it's like I don't really have a reason not to believe that they won't, cover that unless the Cowboys just absolutely just beat themselves, which they have a tendency to do at times. I think in that Arizona game, I think they had 13 penalties or something like that in that Arizona game. So it's definitely a possibility, but I think Arizona is probably a better team than the Giants are right now.
Yeah,
and
for
even
sure.
then, so
Arizona has played a bunch. I mean, they played y'all tough. Y'all beat them by 4 points.
Yeah.
I know they had a big loss to the San Francisco 49ers. The Bengals beat them fairly well too, but they've been battling, man. And the thing now is the Arizona Cardinals lost the backup quarterback to the Minnesota Vikings in what was my man's name?
Joshua Dobbs.
And now you got Kyler Murray coming in the lineup. So once that happens, the Cardinals are absolutely a better team than the New York Giants right now because they're more healthy.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Dallas. I don't want to take them to cover that spread, but so they got to win by 18. So we'll say 30-12.
Sounds good.
Cowboys.
Sounds
win.
good. Somebody said you out here selling that hope.
That hopium. I saw that. That was a great comment. Big shout out also to Independent Outsider for the $4.99 super chat. Says, when even Victor Cruz is calling for Giants drafting a quarterback, the apologies and defenses for DJ are over. It's interesting. There's a lot of people out there that will, from what I've seen, obviously, because I see a lot of this Giants Twitter. Specifically, there's going to be people out there that are just they're not going to give up. They're going to die on the Daniel Jones hill. And then there's people like Tiki Barber who I think, he thought it was right in the offseason and moving into the season. He saw potential for Daniel Jones, and it just didn't work. And I think we've all come to the conclusion that it's just sometimes things just don't work out. And you have to
I don't think
on.
People are dying on the hill. I think now if somebody still wants to kind of like show that they're like still in support of that move, they're masking it. They're saying, oh, like, why don't we draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. with the first pick and maybe get our quarterback later in the rounds? Or, they're saying stuff like that. They're like, we need to address the offensive line before we try to figure out what we're doing with the quarterback. But I didn't see anybody today. People are sad, man, on social media from what I'm seeing on my timeline. They're just like, damn, I didn't think it was going to go down like this. I didn't think it was going to go down like this
really.
either.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
This wild. I mean, you get the neck injury and a torn ACL all in the same season. I expected us to have a slow start, but I definitely did not expect us to lose to teams like the Raiders, even when you was dealing with a backup quarterback type of situation. But you had your starter come back, and he ends up blowing out his knee right in the on the second drive of the game.
It's tough, very tough.
Yeah, man. Don't forget, y'all, to stick around for the trivia section. We're going to be giving away a prize tonight. We'll do that after we do this Commanders game. Let's get right to it, though, man. We're going to talk about the Commanders headed over to the West Coast to take on the Seattle Seahawks. All right, y'all. I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup here because this was one that during the offseason I was trying to tell the Beard that the Seahawks are a really tough squad. They really have not been playing, to their capabilities, though, I feel like. Kickoff in this one is Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, too. I hate when both of our games are on at the same time. Trying to keep my eye on both games really bothers me. Seattle is favored by 6. I think that the Vegas odds lately have not been doing Washington a good service. Y'all were dogs to the Patriots last week by 3 points, and now y'all, Seahawks favored by 6 is kind of interesting. Last meeting, the Commanders beat the Seahawks 17-15 at home. That was in 2021. Last week, the Commanders beat the Patriots 20-17. The Seahawks got blown out by the Ravens 37-3. Washington will travel to Seattle in Week 10 for the first time since 2017. Commanders have won 4 straight games versus the Seahawks here, but the Seahawks are 2-0 when it comes to matchups in the playoffs. Commanders have a 7-1 record on the road against the Seahawks and are 13-6 all-time against the Seattle Seahawks. Y'all kind of have owned them. It's kind of crazy. Want to talk about this Commanders offense just a little bit here. Washington is the 9th ranked. They have the 9th ranked pass attack in the NFL right now, the 5th ranked pass attack in the NFC. They're averaging 242 passing yards per game. Let's talk about Sam Howell. Sam Howell has played very well, I'll say. Yes, Benny. Sam Howell has played very well. Benny been tagging me a lot of stuff on Twitter. Sam Howell has 2,471 yards. That's second in the NFL right now. He's got 14 touchdowns through the air this year. 235 completions is first in the NFL right now. 10th most completions over 20 yards. Not a lot of people talking about explosive plays when it comes to Washington. Sam Howell became the first player in franchise history to throw for 2,500 yards in 10 games or less. The 12th in NFL history. That right there is a nugget for y'all Commanders fans. Go run around telling your NFC East buds that Sam Howell is the first player in franchise history to throw for 2,500 yards in 10 games or less. 12th in NFL history. The first to accomplish 2,500 in 10 games or less. You want to take a guess? Since?
There's a couple of new guys, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, right?
There you go. Probably saw this stat run around. I like that. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, 2020. But wait, I'm not going to hype up Sam Howell too crazy.
I thought you were going to say, but wait, there's more. I love this Awthentik.
Nah, there's not more, okay? You know how I do over here, man. I'm balanced over here. I give y'all that real shit, okay? Sam Howell right now has the most attempts in the NFL with 353. His QBR is 20th in the NFL. Now, just think about Daniel Jones last year. Think about Jacoby Brissett last year. Think about how average that looked. That was top 10 QBR last year. He's 20th in passer rating, 19th in yards per attempt. And I'm really going to dig deep into this for a little while, and then you can give him the roadmap and give him your path to victory. 11th worst interception percentage in the NFL, and he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL as well. Now, Terry McLaurin is probably, not even probably, let me just say it with some bass in my voice, right? Terry McLaurin is the best wide receiver that the Commanders have. He's had a ton of targets lately. McLaurin has 40 targets in the past 4 games, 3 of his last 6 with double-digit targets, but has just 1 touchdown, bro, since week 2. He's got 1 touchdown. Terry has had over 6 receptions just 1 time all year long. Not so scary, right? Jahan Dotson got his first 100-yard game 2 weeks ago. Has just 34 receptions on the year for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's not on pace for that 1,196 you was talking about earlier.
Definitely
not. His catch percentage is 59.6% this year.
Hands.
His average, and that's not necessarily just hands, because that's not drop percentage. That's catch percentage. So it's got a lot to do with the quarterback, the targets, and the way that the receiver's catching the ball. Average yards per target, 6.3. This dude was known for stretching the field when he came out of college, and in his rookie season, I felt like he did a good job of doing that. He has 1 game where his average yards per target is over 9 yards. They'll be going up against the young guns, man, Tariq Woolen. I'm not talking about KB and the Hub. Shout out to KB and the Hub. Those are my brothers right there. But those 2 wide receivers are going to be going up against Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, who the Giants got to see them. Both of them almost had pick sixes in that game. Devin Witherspoon had a pick 6 in that game, took that thing all the way to the house for about 100 yards. I think EB was listening to me when I spoke about Brian Robinson a couple weeks back, kind of lending his ear in on this Awthentik and the beard stuff. I kept complaining about Robinson not having 15 attempts for 6 straight weeks. You know me, I correct typos on the fly when I see them in my notes. Like, man, let me fix that just for later. You know, I repurpose these notes, right? The last 2 weeks, Robinson has had over 18 attempts, and that yields well for your offense. He still does not have a 100-yard game this whole entire season. He does have 7 total touchdowns, 5 rushing. He's been kind of quiet the past couple of weeks. And you guys have the hybrid running back that I was talking about in Antonio Gibson, who when we saw them in person in training camp, Antonio Gibson was the bigger stature running back. Doesn't quite run like it. Definitely doesn't hold on to the ball like it, but he looks like the bigger stature running back. Now, Antonio Gibson has not breached 6 attempts all season. So when you talk about balance from the running back position, forget just from the running back position. When you talk about balance with the Washington Commanders offense, it's all over the place. EB throwing all kind of passing plays out there, not using his hybrid running back the way I think he should use them, which would be like kind of like a more of a 60-40 balance with these 2 running backs. Brian Robinson's yards per attempt, 4.0. Antonio Gibson's yards per attempt, almost 5 at 4.8. Gibson also has a higher success rate. Let me break down what success rate is, because when I was looking into this stat, I saw this on Twitter. I was like, let me learn myself. Let me find a little information about what success rate actually is here. Success rate is on first down, obtaining more than 40% of the yards required to get a first down. On second down, it's 60% of the yards required to get a first down. On third and fourth down, it's obtaining 100% of those yards. Gibson has a higher success rate. 50% success rate on the year. Brian Robinson is around 46. The Ravens rushed for 298 yards last week versus the Seahawks. So to me, the game plan, the way to attack this Seahawks defense, who did just sign Leonard Williams, which I think will help out that rush defense just a little bit, didn't pan out last week. I don't know if Leonard Williams was on the field last week.
I think he did play.
Did he step on the field last week? I think he did too. My gut says he did as well. Commanders' rushing attack is ranked 26 in the NFL right now. So I don't know how. Listen, I know Eric Bieniemy. He's going to go out there and play Madden. He's going to go to the line, 4 wide receivers. He's going to run the oop-de-oop with your boy Sam Howell, and it's going to be a lot of heavy passing. And I think that's going to get y'all in trouble in this game with a Seahawks team that has not been themselves as of late, right? Like, I came into the year and I would have said the Seahawks were going to definitely beat the Commanders come week 10. Right now, I'm feeling a little sketchy about this one. Geno Smith has 6 interceptions in his past 4 games. He has an interception in 5 of his last 6 games. Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet have combined for only 26 carries the past 2 weeks. They cannot find a way to run the ball. And in return, they can't find a way to sustain drives. DK Metcalf had just 1 reception for 50 yards last week. That's only happened 3 times in his entire career where he's had 1 reception. And Seattle was 1 for 12 on third down. You're not going to win a lot of games like that. And typically, I would really pick Seattle. That would be my thing. I really want to pick Seattle. Everything is leaning towards the Commanders winning this game to me. But I'm still going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. I think that Pete Carroll and Geno Smith are going to find a way to win this game. Extremely close. Like, extremely close. I'm going 24-21 Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I think being in Seattle is definitely going to be a little bit beneficiary for them. I think it always helps a team that has struggled to be able to, get back at home and find their winning ways. Like I started out the show, there are a lot of similarities in these teams. And I think I'm hoping, obviously, that Eric Bieniemy is going to continue, to lean a little bit more on the run. We've seen it over the last 2 weeks. Last week we had our best running total as far as yards go in the entire season, albeit by one more yard, but still the best rushing output yardage-wise we've had all year last week. So I think you're starting to see some more of that. And then obviously a lot of the things that you talked about with Sam Howell are all very true. And I think, it's easy for a Commanders fan to look at that yardage and those touchdown passes. But then when you start digging into like a lot of those other numbers, the completion percentage, and then, you start to go down a little bit more down the list. And then you talked about QBR, passer rating, those things, you start going down more the list. I saw where he has the most, it wasn't big play. Now I should have wrote this down. It's not big play, but it's like the damn, what is it called?
You talking about the explosive plays?
Not explosive plays, but it's another stat that they can take into consideration. It's like a combination of explosive plays versus tight windows and those sort of situations. And he had the most in the National Football League, just one above, I believe, Jalen Hurts, and then Tua was third. But there are other things, though. Obviously, he's passed the ball more than everybody else, and then you have the interceptions. And let's not forget about the fumbles, too. He's got 4 fumbles on the year as well. So, those are things that you kind of have to, hopefully he's going to be getting better at, those bad decisions. He made that horrible decision last week. In a game against the Patriots, it's easier to get away from that and a Brian Robinson fumble, which I believe was his first fumble of his career. Fumble lost, obviously. And then, and doing those sort of things against a team like Seattle, because even though Seattle may not have been playing as well as we thought they could, or we thought that they should be, they still have a winning record. They're 4-3, and then obviously they still have the players that can make these sort of plays with DK Metcalf. I'm a big Kenneth Walker fan, obviously, but they have some
5-3.
5-3, excuse me. Yeah. They have some. They do have some issues, obviously, offensively right now. And then one of those big issues, and you talked about it based on last week, being their third down. Their third down offense is horrendous. They are one of the worst third down teams in the National Football League. They are 30th on third downs. They're only converting 31.9% of their third downs right now. So, that's something that this Washington defense, who obviously struggled to get to the quarterback last week, and it seems like that could be an issue moving forward without Chase Young and Montez Sweat not being able to get to the quarterback. But, in Seattle's losses this year, they've struggled to score points. So if Washington wants to win this game, they're going to have to find a way to play good defense. And they played okay. They played pretty good defense last week. I'd say pretty good. But let's remember they're playing up against one of the worst, if not the worst, offenses outside of the New York Football Giants in the National Football League.
You got to say outside of the New York Giants.
Yeah. So in their 3 losses, they're averaging about 10 points a game. Okay. In their 3 losses, they're only converting 24% of their third downs average. They're also averaging a little bit more than 1 turnover in those losses. They're averaging 145 rushing yards allowed during those 3. They're giving up a ton of points. In their 3 losses, they're giving up an average of 28 points per game. So, if Washington could find a way to make this a game eerily similar to the game last week, maybe like 24 to sort of 13, 28 to 17, somewhere around that range, they can be competitive with the Seattle Seahawks, I believe. And then you talked about the interception percentage. Seattle's pretty high too. They have the 10th highest interception percentage in the NFL at 2.7%.
Yeah, Gino's not playing well. He's definitely not playing well.
Yeah,
right
so
now. That was one of his things. He could take care of the ball last year. This year he's definitely not been doing that.
And then one of the things that Washington can do to kind of help that defense is to convert third downs. They did a really good job of that last week. I mean, they've been pretty bad at it consistently this year. I think they're 24th in the National Football League, only converting 35% of their third downs. But Seattle has the third worst third down defense in the National Football League. They're allowing teams to convert on 45.3% of the third downs. So, the matchup is there for Washington. There's just going to be a situation if they can execute. And then obviously with the game plan that Eric Bieniemy has been putting together over the last couple of weeks, and the changes in the offensive line have kind of brought these sack numbers down for Washington's offense and the sacks that they allowed. And they're going to need to continue that. They're going to need to continue to roll Sam out, quick passes, balance like you were talking about, offensive attack, because Seattle's good at getting to the quarterback. They have the 7th most sacks in the National Football League with 27. So there's definitely going to be some things that Washington is going to have to do. It's just going to be a matter of executing. Which Washington team is going to show up? You just never know, obviously. And for me, this was a game that, we talked a lot about preseason, and I kind of went back and forth on this game and the Miami game were the two games that we kind of were talking about, because this one was on the road and the Miami game is at home. So it's going to be interesting, but I do have a roadmap. If you guys are ready for it, let's buckle up our seatbelts. And thank you to our official sponsor of the roadmaps, and that would be Waze.
Yeah, you get on the freeway. What? No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get the procedure. Just get out the lane.
Gentlemen, this is the
Definitely
road
couldn't
map.
hear you there for a second.
Oh, that's my fault. That's a beard move. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the roadmap for victory for the Washington Commanders. All right. So we talked about the point scoring that Seattle has done during their losses. Okay, they've scored 13, 13, and 3. Those are the points scored in their 3 losses. So if Washington wants to win this game, they're going to have to hold Seattle to 14 points or less. That is the goal here. That has not happened a lot for the Washington Commanders this year. They're one of the worst points allowed defenses in the National Football League. But there is promise, and we're banking this roadmap on a little bit of promise, I'm not going to lie. And then, once again, defensively, we talked about Seattle, their inefficiency on third down. You have to be able to take advantage of other teams' weaknesses. So the Washington Commanders want to win this game. They're going to have to hold Seattle to 30% or less conversion rate on third down. Okay, that's the number that I think would be the number that they need to hit in order to win this game. Now, on the flip side, Washington needs to take advantage of Seattle's really bad third down defense. They need to sustain the drives, and they need to keep their own third down conversion percentage over 50%. Now, obviously, we're not getting to the quarterback. One of the big things that you can do defensively to put together a good game outside of getting to the quarterback is forcing some turnovers. They're going to have to find a way to force some turnovers. I would like to see them force 2 turnovers in this game in order to win. And then we talked about Sam Howell. The sacks numbers have been coming down a little bit more and more each game. A lot of that has to do with the game plan. I would like to see Sam Howell sacked 3 times or less in this game. I'd like to see him sacked 0 times, but if I want to be realistic, it has to be 3 or less in this game. And then obviously I want to talk about RTDB. Last week, I asked for 123 yards. I think we got 124. I'm going to up it this week. I'd like to see 125 rushing yards from the Washington Commanders this game. And then last but certainly not least, I think a combination of converting on third downs, the combination of running the ball, the combination of not allowing Sam to get sacked too much in this game. Put all that together, you should win the time of possession. I think winning the time of possession is important for the Commanders to proceed and get a win in this game. So I'm going to go with winning the time of possession as the last stop on the roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders.
I like it. I like it. Little third down, little running game. Don't get sacked. He's only been sacked, what, under 3 times, twice this year or something like that?
Maybe only once.
Now, I think the last 2 weeks, y'all have
we were at 3, I think, the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So.
Not too bad. Not too bad. What you think about this right here from Benny?
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to tell Del Rio that. I mean, listen, I think Emmanuel Forbes had a great game last week. We talked about that, but I think that if you're smart, maybe you put, him on Lockett or JSN, and put Fuller. I kind of like a bracket
Forbes
sort of
don't
coverage.
play the slot though, right?
I mean, they move him around a little bit, but generally he's outside.
Yeah, because JSN
St. Just and Fuller on the outsides. So, I think Del Rio is smart enough not to put Forbes on DK Metcalf.
Yeah, the physical wide receivers give him a little bit of issue.
Yeah,
and
you
JSN
saw
is completely
pictures.
healthy coming into this game now. He was questionable yesterday, but they labeled him as healthy now.
Yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting matchup. My gut tells me I should pick the Seahawks. Absolutely. And I told myself that, and I told everybody else here that I wasn't going to pick the Commanders in games that I shouldn't. But
you picked them in the beginning of the year to win this game.
I did.
It's either this or the Dolphins game. I mean, you probably got a better shot picking this one than the Dolphins game.
And you, my friend, are correct. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders to win this game by a final score of 27-14.
I can dig it. All right, let's get off into this trivia segment one time.
All right,
Beard.
ladies and gentlemen.
Give them rules, bro.
Yes, indeed. All right, this is Trivia Time, brought to you by Awthentik and the Beard and our great sponsors over at Vintage Sports Flips. So we were going to drop a question for each and every one of you in the chat. You are then going to answer that question in the chat. Please remember, it is the first person that we see in our chat. It might look a little bit different than what you see in your chat due to different internet speeds and lags. Ladies and gentlemen, get those fingers ready because it is Trivia Time.
I like it, man. Today's going to be a good one. I want to see who's going to get this one. This is, it's going to take you back in time a little bit one time here. All right. Get your thinking hats ready, man. Here we go, y'all. Today's trivia question is, which player holds the record for most passing yards by an NFC East quarterback in a single game? See who comes in hot. My man,
Carl
SHU Carter said Carl Banks.
Here's trying to get out in front of it.
I like that. I like that, man.
This is, I think a lot of people are probably going to be surprised at this one. This is always interesting to me during trivia time.
You
because
don't be giving them no hints, man. You talking too much about what's going on here, man.
It's just like 7,000 things coming all at once.
Big shout out to Roy Williams one time, man. He said, love the broadcast from Indian Land, South Carolina via the South Bronx, man. Big salute to the homie Roy one time in the building.
A lot of Donovan McNabb love in the chat.
Dak, Donovan. Donovan's a good guess. I think we got a winner.
I think we do have a winner. I'm going to go over here to the private chat. Yes, sir.
That's him?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It is. Randall Cunningham was the second guess.
Randall Cunningham was a good one. That's
Roger
a good one.
Staubach. I saw a little
Roger
Sonny
Staubach.
Jurgensen, Kirk Cousins.
RG3 from J Money. I like. They said Eli, Kirk Cousins. These are some good guesses. Good guesses. You know what you got to do? You got to just spam your guesses. That's probably the best way to do it. Just type every quarterback you could possibly think of. All right, let's get right to the answer here. Today's answer is Giants quarterback Phil Simms, who just had a birthday November 3rd. He passed for 513 yards versus the Bengals on October 13th, 1985. The Beard was 1. I was 2. Stepping out mom's womb like I'm here. Enter the world. Here's Awthentik, man. So Phil Simms, today's winner is actually Kai 001, man. Big shout out to Kai one time. This might be the second time Kai done won some.
It is his second time
memorabilia
winning.
Here, man. You got something for the Cowboys fan? I like the profile picture too, man. That's fire right there.
I absolutely do. Just to go along with your profile picture, how about a little Dak Prescott, silver mosaic prism. Right there. Really nice parallel of Dak Prescott on the silver mosaic prism. That is going to go to you, Kai, to match your profile picture, bud.
That's fire. That's fire, man. Congrats to the homie Kai, man. Kai, day one, been rocking with us for a long time, man. Shows up, shows out every stream, man. So big salute to you. You know how to reach out to us, Kai, man. We'll catch you on Twitter. You could just DM the beard, man. He'll get that shipped out to you as soon as possible. He said, oh, yeah. That's what's up, man. Big shout out to all of y'all, man, for trying to, bring in your guesses and your answers here one time. We give away a piece of memorabilia, either sponsored by Vintage Sports Flips or Over the Years Sports, which is the Beards Company, every Thursday, man. So tell a friend to pull up, man, if y'all want to try to win some more memorabilia. Got some awesome Giant stuff on deck over there. The Beard was showing me. I ain't want to let the cat out the bag too early, but maybe we show him for next week now that we already got the Phil Simms answer. You want to show him that Phil Simms we had?
Oh, yeah, we have a little nice little throwback Phil Simms here. This is a 1982 Topps Phil Simms card. And then also we do have a little Dexter Lawrence rookie card right there as well.
We're not going to give that one away. That one's coming over here to the lab.
I still got a really nice Terry McLaurin right here for my Commanders fans.
Mm-hmm.
We still also have some really nice Philadelphia stuff to give away, which we'll probably end up giving away during the playoffs. But yeah, big shout out to everybody who participates in the chat, in the trivia. It's always fun. One of our favorite things to do here is kind of give back to you guys for coming here and hanging out with us each and every show. We appreciate it.
Most definitely. All right, we got about a good 20 minutes. Let's get off into this last game, man, the Thursday night football matchup. All right, man. I'm looking forward to this one. This is the Tank Bowl that's going to help out my New York Giants.
You might be the only person out there.
And I got DJ Moore in the lineup tonight, man, in my fantasy, man. He better go crazy. It's been a while. He hasn't done too much here. But the 1-7 Carolina Panthers are headed to Chicago to take on the 2-7 Chicago Bears. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Amazon Prime. Again, do not forget to change your broadcast to the Amazon Prime Vision. I'm telling you, that is the way to watch football. Fox, y'all need to get hip. CBS, y'all need to get hip. ESPN, y'all need to get hip. And anybody else doing any other broadcasts of football, y'all need to get hip. The 22-man cam with all the diagrams, they show you like what players have a tendency to possibly blitz in that situation. And I swear like 90% of the time it's right. The Bears are favored by 1.5 in this game. Last week, the Panthers lost to the Colts 27-13. Gardner Minshew magic out there one time. The Bears lost to the Saints 24-17. Last meeting between these two teams, the Bears beat the Panthers 23-16. That was in 2020. The Bears lead the series with a 7-3 record. Bears have won 5 of the last 6. I'm leaning all this towards the Bears, man. I'm trying to pick the Bears tonight here, okay? These are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. The Panthers have yet to win on the road this season. The Bears have won 2 of their last 4 games, though, after starting 0-4. Let me talk about this Bears offense just a little bit here. They're averaging 20.9 points per game. Chicago does lead the NFC with 135.3 rushing yards per game this season. That is a great feat for them right now for a bad team. A lot of that got to do with my guy, Deontay Foreman. This dude been out here. He rushed for 83 yards last week, and he has 65 or more scrimmage yards in 3 of his past 4 games. This is a revenge game for him as well. He rushed for 914 yards, 5 touchdowns in 2022 with the Carolina Panthers. He leads the Bears in rushing yards, and he's only been there for 5 games. DJ Moore, man. I'm hoping for a big game from DJ Moore. He was selected in the first round, number 24 overall by the Carolina Panthers. He's also due for a revenge game right now. Last time on Thursday Night Football, the Beard could tell you a little bit about this. DJ Moore had 3 touchdowns and 230 yards. When I turned on the broadcast, the ball was in flight for a touchdown to my man DJ Moore one time. Moore has at least 50 receiving yards in 4 of his last 5 Thursday night matchups. Primetime maniac, but there's a major but here. He has not had more than 55 yards receiving since Justin Fields' injury. Panthers are without J.C. Horn tonight and C.J. Henderson, who had a concussion, both out this week. We talked about Cole Kmet, 6 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 9. I don't think he's going to carry that into this game, man. I watch a lot of J.T. O'Sullivan breaking down tape, and I swear he's always pointing out Cole Kmet like, look at this guy right here missing this block. Look at this guy right here running this lazy route. I'm not a big fan of Cole Kmet. A lot of that got to do with J.T. O'Sullivan. Now, last but not least, I'm going to talk about this Panthers offense a little bit. There's not really much going on with this Panthers offense, to keep it funky with you. Panthers started the year with 6 straight losses. Their only win was versus the Houston Texans, and they won by 2 points, 15-13. Bryce Young is coming off his worst game as a pro, throwing 3 interceptions against the Indianapolis Colts. 2 of them were pick sixes. Colts
By the same guy.
By the same guy. Shout out to the Beard for tossing that out there. The Colts were the 32nd ranked defense entering that game. Not a good look for these Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young has the 29th ranked quarterback rating in the league. He's thrown for 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. There's one bright spot on the Carolina Panthers offense. It's Adam Thielen. He has 62 receptions. That's tied for 6th in the NFL. I don't know if you remember during the summer, during like mini camp, he had a like a viral clip going around where he was running routes and people was like, Adam Thielen is cooked. I think Thielen could have been a guy at the trade deadline that they might have wanted to off to a team that really needed a wide receiver, maybe like the Houston Texans or somebody like that. 62 receptions, tied for 6th. That's really good, but I don't think it'll be good enough tonight. I think the Chicago Bears are going to win this game. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns too. I'll give them a 12-point victory tonight. 24-12.
You did a really good job because I was ready to go Carolina from the jump. And then, you gave me a lot of, I love a good revenge game. I love a good revenge game.
Hey, this one personally, y'all traded me up out of here? Come on, guys.
I mean, there's a lot to be left to be desired in this matchup as a whole. But there are some guys, I obviously will play a fantasy lineup for every Thursday night game. So, there's a bunch of guys I looked into. The Deonta Foreman, he's a guy I feel like we just talk about all the time, and rightfully so, man. The guy, he's a kind of an old school, running back.
For sure.
He had 20 carries last week. I think a lot of people thought that, with the return of Rashawn Johnson, that, that was going to kind of disappear and they were going to start working him into it.
I didn't think that.
Definitely didn't happen. Obviously not. And then so he's a guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye out on in this game.
What's up with Khalil Herbert? Is he back healthy or no?
So they got off the IR practice window period, but they didn't activate him from this game. It's so difficult for players to come off of the IR and be activated on a Thursday. I feel like it never ever happens.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be back next week, obviously. If they don't have a bye. I'm not sure when their bye is, but yeah. So, and then the Miles Sanders situation in Carolina is another thing to kind of keep your eye out on. Obviously I'm gearing myself to an RTDB bowl, but Chuba Hubbard's been basically taking over that job from Miles Sanders, and I think
outside of last week though, you saw Miles Sanders ramp up in attempts last week.
It did, and that's what I was going to say is that I think a lot of that probably had to do with Miles Sanders coming back from the injury. So it'll be interesting to see how that diversification of carries goes between those two running backs. I think that if you can find a way to use them successfly,
that's either a SAT word or a beardism right there. Diversification. This man hit me with the diversification. With a straight face too. I was about to let it slide.
I had to keep the straight face.
Diversification.
I mean, it rolled off the tongue. It rolled off the tongue.
Diversification, yo. One of my scholars in the chat need to let me know what's up with the diversification. If that's a word, I'm going to use it once a show from now on out. The diversification in the New York Giants offense.
I'm good. We're going to need a Webster word check, please, from the chat. Thank you.
That's a one right there. Diversity. I like that. The diversification. That sounds like something Louis Farrakhan would say, or Mike Tyson after a fight. The diversification.
I'm 75% sure that's a real word.
No, it sounds like a word. Like I broke it down in my head. I was like, diversification. All right, it's probably a word, but it's a wild ass word.
Yes, we have.
Says it's a word.
Base Boy says the word. Listen, LaMama James has been looking at this hat all show since we went live. So he wanted to know what's on the hat. It's a tire company.
Oh, nice. That joint got like the Sidney Dean kind of vibes right there. I'm digging that.
I paired it with the vintage single stitch Palm Springs tee to go with it. Shout out to the vintage game.
I see you.
But yes, do not play Scrabble with the beard, says Gregory.
Yo, diversification. You hit somebody with that in Scrabble. I'm throwing the whole chips, all everything, man. Forget that. Diversification.
The action of diversifying something or the fact of becoming more diverse.
I like that. I told you it's either a SAT word or a beardism. It's one of the two. Because, that thing, diversification, that's Louis Farrakhan right there.
I think the Mike Tyson, because in my head I can see, it's just the diversification of the jab and the hook and the undercut.
Yeah, bro, that's wild. I'm okay. Good kudos for the beard, man.
Thank you. But yes, back to the diversification. I'd like to see them use Miles Sanders, in the passing game. Make things a little bit easier on Bryce Young. Get the rhythm going for Bryce Young.
We got 7 new viewers said you said diversification. Let's go.
So it's I think that's where I would see the Panthers trying to make a run at this. They're obviously going to be hurting at the cornerback position without J.C. Horn and C.J. Henderson, two guys I'm really high on right there. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm looking at the field goal kickers here. How old are you guys?
The beard is 39. I'm 40 years old. 1983, 1984 over there.
There you go. Yes.
You sound like you was about to make up a lie. How old are you guys? I'm 26. When people get older, they want to lower that age, stay at 30.
Listen,
I want to get older.
I almost took all my hair off today. And I was like,
was about to go bald. You should, bro. You got the beard, man.
I know. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until I get to 40, and then I'll do it.
You wait too long. When you do it, people gonna be like, that's how they gonna be looking at you.
I took it down real low.
The hell?
Real low. I got the Peaky Blinders look going right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear
you. Shout out to Kai. The 40 is a new 21. 40
dog, look, dog. I remember when my mom was 40 and my dad was 40. It wasn't looking like I'm looking. I don't know what's in the food, what kind of crazy injections they put in. I don't know if you ever seen, what's that joint? The Fat Burger was not what was the joint with Keenan and Kel?
The Good Burger.
The Good Burger. I don't know what they putting in this food right now, but everybody I know that's like 35, 40 years old, go back and look at the 70s, right? When you see these dudes in them old black and white pictures, they was like 23 looking like they was 45. I don't know what's going on, dog. Like, everybody looks a lot younger these days. I ain't gonna say everybody, because there's a few people out there, them crow's feet and all that stuff going on. But hey, man, I'm blessed, bro. People be like, yo, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 40. They be like, what? I'm like, dog, hey, I'm gonna take these youthful years as I grind and get older and get more wisdom. Because then when you get in a conversation with a 25-year-old and they really think you like 28, they be like, man, this dude kind of smart right here, bro. They don't know that I'm 40 years old.
I really don't even know who I want to pick in this game. You picked Chicago to win by 2 touchdowns or what was it, 10 points?
Yo, this is what you got to do right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's why I said I took
lower and lower until you are down to a buzz, then shave it, because nobody going to know. They're going to be like, oh, it's a little lower now.
Yeah,
you know
I brought the fade up a little bit and, took it down.
Went higher on the fade now.
Went higher on the fade.
Shit.
And I had to take the beard down because, listen, the beard gets real crazy.
You did trim the beard. You tripping. Nah, that wasn't your decision. I already know that wasn't your decision.
It was my decision.
Nah, that was not your decision.
Because I got to go to Buela's house for the holidays,
That's exactly what I said. That's not your decision.
So, Buela, when I walk in there with the real grizzly look, Buela gives me the Buela side eye, and it's like, the plate don't hit the same with the side eye like it does when she's excited to see you.
Now his whole explanation is it wasn't his decision. You can't make this shit up. Only an authentic in the beard, I promise you.
I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers to win this game 17-16.
Give me a chance to maybe catch up in those rankings. I feel like you've been getting me the last couple weeks.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll definitely see, man. So we got about a good 15 minutes till kickoff, man. This was a fairly breezy show, man, with just, the Philadelphia Eagles on a bye. Giants playing the Cowboys. Just really 2 matchups. This little Thursday night football doozy right here with the Panthers and the Bears. It's going to be an interesting one, man. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. But, man, big salute to all of y'all for pulling up, man, rocking out with us, man. Don't forget to check me out on Bleacher Report on Sunday after the games. And in the morning, we'll be doing the Parlay Show at 11 a.m. Man, I've been streaming like every day. I'm also going to do I did a Bleacher Report stream yesterday where I talked about a lot of the quarterback prospects coming out and who I thought the New York Giants should maybe go after. I'm going to turn that into a piece of content here. I'm pretty much all the way settled here in the studio, so expect some of those shorter videos to come out. I'd say probably by next week. I'm going to be taking my first sessions in the studio this weekend, man. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But keep your eyes out on the Bleacher Report streams. And if you're already on Bleacher Report, go to the app right now. Find me on there at Awthentik. Follow me on there. I'm trying to build this following on Bleacher Report. I feel like I'm starting over on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. It's hell trying to get to that first 100. And shout out to everybody who got me to 5,000 on Twitter, man. Big salute to all of y'all, man, who've been rocking out with my crazy takes and all my joking that goes on Twitter, man. Y'all be seeing me. I keep them receipts. I keep roasting people on there. People be trying to attack me, man, but you know what it is, man. I'm going to keep it football all day long. We end every show the same exact way, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams. Shout out to Stephen Arts in the building, man. I see you, man, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Mr. Combat Jack himself. And that's a wrap, y'all. Enjoy y'all Thursday night football. Best of luck in fantasy. If you need some adjusting on your lineups, make sure to pull up Sunday morning at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be chopping it up. I'm trying to get to this bag, man. I'm sitting around 500 in that league. I got to get to this fantasy bag, man. I did get a $50 bonus this year for the highest score a couple weeks back. I'm trying to even out the slate here, man, get this money back, man. So appreciate all y'all pulling up. Y'all know what it is. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Be good, y'all. Peace.